Wednesday to you. Hope you had a fantastic day. Welcome to Family TV. We are also live on Family Radio. And today is a Wednesday. I'm pretty excited about our topic. It's a bit heavy, but we'll get there. We have pastor and author Danson Mutantwe. Mutwante.
Yes.
Aki mimi ni wa Waru Nation. These letters are too many. Karibu sana. You've
Thank
written
you.
the book, Love Can Be a Mistake.
Yes.
So this means you're the perfect person to talk about love today.
Yes.
We are glad you're here.
Thank you.
We also have the founder of The Graced Woman, Esther Maina.
Thank you.
Part of the family. I was telling you, amekuja anaweza kupatia orientation. Yes, she knows her way around.
Nice to
Karibuni
be
sana.
here.
Thank you.
So let's talk about toxic people. And we introduced this on radio, and the biggest challenge is people not knowing who a toxic person is. So we'll start with you, Pastor. Who's a toxic person?
Because most of the time when we talk about toxicity, we talk in terms of relationships. And this
Yes.
is what I want to say. Anybody who is in love with you and they're not improving you, they're toxic.
Sasa utaanza show hivyo na punchline.
Yeah.
Sawa, go ahead. Break it down for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
because love is supposed to be destiny help institution. So if you're in a relationship with somebody who's not trying to build you up, then they're trying to cut you down. And that's why it is important for us to be very careful about who you choose. And in the Bible, we have examples of people who got themselves into very toxic relationships. The first one would shock you. It's David.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That story. Yes.
The
Yes.
story about David and Michal. And the Bible says clearly that when Saul heard that Michal loved David, this just two times he had attempted killing David twice. When he heard that Michal was in love with David, he was so excited about it. And he said, I'm going to give Michal over to David that she might become a snare.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah, there are people who are in love, but they are in love with snares.
Okay.
Yes.
And they need to know that today.
Yes, they need to know that today.
Okay, I hear you. Esther, when you're dealing with a graced woman, the program is mainly for people who are finding healing.
Yes.
Healing from people like toxic people.
Exactly.
So from a woman's perspective, what does that look like?
Coming from, let me first define toxic person or a toxic person when
Yes.
it comes to a woman and why the women become so wounded. A toxic person is the person who does not bring out the best in you. Actually, they show you you are inadequate when it comes to them. They try to bring the worst in you. They try to make you look like you're not perfect. And so when it comes to a woman, we tend to really lose so much when you have a toxic relationship, when you are surrounded with by toxic people, that every time you do something, they are trying to show you that is not good enough. Or you wear something. You know how we value what we wear? We value how we look like. An example of a toxic person, even a friend, you can actually have a best friend who is toxic, that every time you wear something, they tell you, Medrin, I think you'd have looked better in that blue dress. When you wear the blue dress, they say you'd have looked better in the one you had the black and white. That is someone who is trying to bring you down. And it takes so long to know that this is a toxic person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor, let me ask you.
Yes.
If you're the toxic person, do you know if you are?
Yes, most of the time, our upbringing determines the kind of people that we end up being in the future. There are only two types of people in the society: those who grew up and those who are brought up. They are not the same. One is like weeds, the other one is like crop. So when somebody comes from a very dysfunctional family and they don't resolve the dysfunction, they end up contaminating people. Toxicity is transferred.
Okay.
Now, the main thing is to make sure that you understand how toxic relationships work, because there's a dynamic around toxicity. There's a way it plays out. In the Bible, it talks about the words of a person being smooth like honey, but the end of it is bitter as wormwood. So, and when you're dealing with matters to do with relationships, toxic relationships, initially they don't look very toxic. When somebody approaches you, they overwhelm you with attention. They dote on you. They pursue you. The Bible in Proverbs 12:27, it says, a slothful man does not roast what he has caught in his hand.
Okay.
But yeah, meaning it is not, you don't know the diligence of a person because of his pursuits. Yeah, boys specialize in pursuing, men specialize in roasting. It is what a man does after he has found you that determines whether or not you're valuable as an individual. So you cannot gauge a toxic person.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, because all the effort that he's employing, and you find most of the women wonder, this man, used to do a lot of things when he wanted to be with me, and then all of a sudden he has me, and then the attention starts dwindling and things like that. Is because you are playing it into a narrative.
Okay.
Toxic relationships are like fishing. There is a bait, and the bait is that he loves on you. He takes you to work, picks you after work, tells you all wonderful things. And I love what she was saying, because once they start doing that, they're actually making you feel good around them. So they're taking a sense of your esteem to be attached on them. So you're already starting to depend on them to feel good.
You're hitting too close to home.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful about that. And just watch. I've watched, I do counseling, and one of the ladies told me that the man would not, when she's going to the salon, the man was there, the man would carry the handbag and things like that. And the man was just all over her, giving her a lot of attention. The only place where I know there is a lot of attention is during the guard of parade, when the past... Touche. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody's giving you too much attention, they're trying to protect you. And most of the time it's an issue of insecurity. And you ought to be very careful. Toxic people don't change relationships for a reason.
Okay.
It's not very easy for them to find somebody they can be toxic to like that.
That
is why they always come back over and over again to you.
Okay.
Because when they try to go out to other people, they discover that other people don't accept them like that. So don't provide a comfort zone for a toxic person. So that is the first nene of toxicity.
That makes a lot of sense, because as you're speaking, in my mind, I'm thinking there are people who will approach you, whether it's platonic or romantic relationships, and they're the best people you've ever met.
Yes.
2 months later, unashindwa, all this fasting and praying, who are these people in my life? So they look nice when they come. So how do you distinguish them? Because they're already here, we've met them, then after a while they change. So how do you make that distinction?
I think a toxic person tends to be very manipulative. Very manipulative. Like as I was talking about the dressing, they want you to wear what it appears best to them. So they want to control you. They want to put you in their kibeti, that they're walking around, you're doing what they like, you're going the places they like, and you're not with your friends. Actually, one way to know a toxic person from experience is that few months down the line, you realize you don't have friends yourself. You have become the other person's friend, and the person's friend have become your friends. You no longer have your friends as your person. They tend to be very manipulative. So one way to identify a person who is toxic is when you realize you're no longer yourself. Actually, you lose you. And you get integrated into them, their likes, their beliefs, and you forget who Medrin was, forget who Esther was, and by the time you're coming to realize you've gone miles and miles. Yes.
Okay. Pastor, in my mind, I'm thinking, as humans, we are wired to walk away from danger. Yes?
Yes.
But this danger is disguised as the attention that you're talking about.
Yes.
So at what point are you supposed to run for the hills? Because people stay. There are relationships that will last 10, 20 years, and they're toxic relationships. Why don't people walk away?
That is a very serious question. Erosion doesn't happen instantly. It happens slowly. So as she is saying, there are those particular things that they beat off your life. The first thing is usually about your opinion. They want to show you that they know what you're doing much better than them. They want to show you that they have their own better connections. I like the way she has gone to the end very well. Yeah, so the toxic people take away your opinion first. And once you lose your voice, you have lost your negotiating power in a relationship. Okay. The second thing they will do, they will make you feel guilty about your feelings. So like, he is wrong, but he's wrong, you are mad that he is wrong, then it makes you feel as though you are wrong for being mad that he is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
I follow that. Yes.
You're following that,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in the end, at the end, though you are the one who brought up the complaint, it looks like you are wrong complaining. So now, They have dealt with the first stage of taking away your opinion, now they're taking away your emotions. The third stage is taking away your confidence. So like, let's say she's running the Graced Woman ministry.
Yes.
The man shows up and starts mocking. You also want to do a women's ministry? Come on, you can't be serious. There are better things to do. Why are you worried about these women and things like that? So all of a sudden, something that you're passionate about, you are second guessing yourself. And if you lose your footing on your destiny, you have lost your footing in terms of your personal identity.
That's
because a person's identity is based on what they do.
Okay.
Once they pull you away from that, then now they come to the killer one, which he has said, and this is very, very powerful, by the way, the one of taking friends away from you. So they take away all your social structure. If you're close to someone, they start making false accusations about your girlfriends and about your friends and things like that.
Yeah.
So that now you depend upon their emotions, you depend upon their perception about your feelings. You depend upon about their opinion in terms of what you want to do, your destiny.
Okay.
Then now you depend upon them as your only friend. Once it gets there, most of the time it has stretched too far.
Yeah.
Now, and let's now just be honest. Most of the people who are in toxic relationship are also in sexually active relationships.
Yes.
Unfortunately. So they end up keeping a pig because of a sausage. I don't know how better way to put it. But
I'm just trying to keep a show on air. It's fine.
yeah. And unfortunately, because of the way sex is created, even the science behind sexuality, sex is not for fun, even if it is done for fun. Two souls become one, according to what the Bible says.
Yes.
So they'll be a merging. So it becomes very difficult for you to want to pull away from it. So the more you try to move out,
Yes.
a part of your soul is with them. Then also the other challenges,
Yeah.
sex and being high on drugs is the same. They say the brain of a person when they're having sex and the brain of a person when they're taking cocaine and an MRI is the same. So you become a dependent. It's like you're going back to that particular person for a fix.
Okay.
So you blend the pleasure of being with them and the pain of being with them. It's like, the way you can be hurt and then you scratch somewhere, you're feeling pain, but it also feels good to scratch.
Yes.
So that person becomes a mixture of pain and pleasure. And once love becomes a mixture of pain and pleasure, it is highly, highly toxic. So before you come out, you need to be honest. Why are you in the relationship to begin with? And that's why I threw in the issue about sex, because initially I was shocked because I've been in church for a long period of time. So one time I met a girl who was being beaten severely by her boyfriend. A couple of
Boyfriend?
times. Unfortunately.
Not husband?
No, nowadays there are more girlfriends beaten up than wives.
Okay.
Yeah, and I still don't get how that works. But yeah, and this girl was being beaten up by the boyfriend, but she wouldn't leave. So when I asked her, why is it that you don't leave? He says, because you are a pastor, so you don't understand how it feels to be with someone in bed and you're crying.
Okay.
So I tried to imagine that, and you see now that's the problem. There is something that is off. I tried to imagine being intimate with my wife and she's crying. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
But for her, that is the reason as to why she went back. It's as though there was there was a mixture of hormones and a high that she experienced during that particular point. Later on, luckily she was able to come out, but she was unable to get out because of sex. The other reason is because of children. And anyone who stays in a toxic relationship because of children, they are transferring toxicity to their children.
And I want us to talk about that.
Yes.
But we'll listen to a song because I also wanted you to touch on that toxicity on children. I know you're always open about your story, so you can touch on that as well. The feedback is coming in moto. Hiya, let's sample part of it. Hi, Medrin. This conversation reminds me of the talk Pastor James Okumu had a while back on narcissist. That's a Cheng from Kisumu. Yes, he did have that. And then Lucy, you're saying you're loving the topic and you're learning a lot. That's the whole point. What would you do if you found out that one of your parents literally hates you and she even confesses it? And this is Eric. So I know there's a point you need to add on what how toxicity will affect your children. But before we get to that, explain out the background, because this one is saying, by using the word she, he means the mother has literally said, I do not like you. What do you do?
That's a very tricky question, because I would want to imagine it's not that the mother doesn't love him. It is that the mother has some past issues, probably that maybe led to him being born, or a relationship that was so hurtful that she associates the relationship and the pain that she went through to Eric. So I don't think the mother really hates him.
Okay.
It's the pain that she has. She has a past that she needs to come out of, and she needs help, because that's why we are having cases where parents are even killing children. It is not that they don't love them. It is because they have very deep wounds, and those wounds have been associated, or, like when your child is growing, the wound is also growing, and you're looking at this came as a result of this, and you are the product of this, you get. So she's not able to differentiate the blessing from the pain. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now, do you understand why he would be a toxic person? Of course, not him, but why somebody in that situation who's had that in their background would carry that into their lives?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, like now, the mother in this case is acting like a toxicity to Eric, and she can easily influence him and even how he will relate to women. Because if you hear your mom saying that she doesn't love you, that's a very deep wound that she's inflicting on him. But what I'm saying is that she is toxic, but beside the toxicity, there is a connection. There's a root. Let me use that word. There's a root as to where toxicity is coming from. We are not actually born toxic. We develop our toxic due to our relationships. Since when we start growing up, what we are seeing our parents doing, from our first boyfriend, the people that we trust so much, and then how they hurt us, and we keep piling. So you have garbage from your girlfriends hurting you. You have garbage from what your mother or dad said. Maybe said something, you're ugly. Look at yourself, mjinga. All those things, and you keep piling them. So when you grow up, you're not going to remove anything good, for starters, unless you go back to the basics. That's the healing.
Yes.
And unearthing what is it that is wounding you. And that explains why most of the adults are hurting.
Yeah.
And if you want to understand why an adult is hurting, it is not that they're having headaches. It is not feverish thing. It is the wounds of the past.
Okay.
Wounds of the past. And where are wounds coming from? They are coming from relationships that have been toxic. And that's why as a mother, as a parent, it is very important to learn how to speak to our children. And the words that we are saying to them. Because, they internalize the word. There's a place, the position in their hearts. You're of importance to them. And you're bringing them down by the words that you're speaking. And the Bible says in Proverbs that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And what we are telling our children every day, they'll one day become. And if you don't want them to become that which you're telling them every day, then keep it to yourself. Don't speak it out.
I was watching an interview today, and the lady was saying that people who spew negativity forget it, but the person who receives it will never forget. And that's why they tend to forget what they said. Pastor, let me ask you, are there people who are so used to being toxic, or they've been in a very toxic environment, that they don't know any other way?
Yes. And that's the reason as why also you find people who have a passion for bad boys and bad girls.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not incriminating.
You're not
because you looked at me. Okay.
If you find somebody who has a desire for bad boys or bad girls, it's because that is what they are accustomed to. Love for them has to come with some drama. If it doesn't have drama, they will bring it. So you find, one time I separated a woman and a man who are fighting, and the lady alikuwa na press kichwa yake kwa chest. And she's short like this. Yeah. She's saying, "Kani mwanaume niguze." So
and the head is already on the chest.
Yeah. Okay. And we had to separate, and I'm thinking, if he just does this, you would collapse.
You're done. Yeah.
Yeah. But you see, because they come from a family background, and that is why it is not good for you to be to be violent, especially to your spouse.
Okay.
Just find a way of resolving it, because you teach your children that love comes with kicks and blows. Or if you're a woman, you teach your sons that it comes out of verbal abuse. And it is because men use their fists, women use their words. So as a woman, it's important, like for the mother to Eric. Anyway, maybe I'll give you a story. When we were young, my mom came. I don't know what had happened to her at work. And she just caused drama. Hey. And we were very happy that day, by the way. We were noisy. The neighbor was happy, saying, these children are so happy. Then all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, when my mom entered, the house was very quiet, and she just heard my mom shouting. And the woman just came down and came and knocked and pulled my mom out.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And told my mother, you know what? I don't know what it is that you're dealing with. I don't want you to talk to your sons and your children like that again. And he said, if you do that, you're going to chase your children, and once they find an opportunity to leave this house, they will never come back.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you see, a woman is not a person. A woman is a presence. That's why if you get into a house and a woman is angry, you can feel it in the atmosphere. So when a woman does that, she starts to repel people. And for someone like Eric, what I can tell you is that parents are not perfect.
Yeah.
What you need to do is be to your children what your mother was not to you. Intentionally get a mother figure who loves on their children, and you will find you'll find somebody who loves their children, and learn from them. Read as much as possible about father-son, father-daughter relationships, and determine that what I have gone through, I'm not going to take my children through it.
Okay.
And then forgive your mother. She's just going through things. At her level, pray for her so that she deals with somebody on that rank can be able to talk to her. So
Okay.
once somebody has come from a very toxic family, sometimes it's very, very hard for them to dislodge from a level of toxicity.
Okay.
But they can do it. Yeah. Or the one thing is that they have to get mentors, people who are very different from their parents. They also need to read. You see, the problem that we have nowadays is that we have amateurs handling hearts. If someone has a heart condition, you will not go to your favorite butcher.
Nope.
You will need a surgeon. You see, nowadays we have people who are in relationships with amateurs completely, and you're giving over your life and your future to somebody who has no expertise whatsoever where a relationship is concerned. So it is important for you to find somebody who is schooled. One of the signs that someone is ready for marriage is what is their appetite for knowledge in terms of marriage. Have they invested?
What do they know?
Yeah,
Okay.
have they invested? And I will give you Proverbs chapter number 2. It's a very beautiful portion of the Bible. Proverbs 2 from the beginning talks about how to get wisdom. It gets to verse number 7. It talks about God has laid sound wisdom for the upright. Talks to verse number 10. It says about when you have wisdom, knowledge shall be pleasant to your soul. Verse number 12. It says to deliver you from the evil man. Meaning when you have wisdom on the inside, you will have something in you that delivers you away from people who are toxic. Because the word evil man there is actually bad boy. If you look at it, it's just a man. He's a bad man, yes.
I like how Percy is laughing at ease.
Yeah, so you see, when you find somebody who has a lot of love for bad boys, it's because they're deficient of wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they have contact with wisdom, they will be able to be delivered. Verse number 16 of the same Proverbs 2, it talks about a man now falling in love with strange women. So when a man lacks wisdom, he's attracted to very, very dangerous women.
Okay.
Then in verse number 20, it says, if you have wisdom, you will walk in the path of good men. Meaning that there's a spiritual infrastructure where good men and good women are. The same way you are always attractive or attracted to bad boys, there's a place where good boys and good girls are. And if you're able to change the wiring on the inside, you will be able to attract on the outside. Because most often than not, we are birds of the same feather in terms of wisdom. We are wisdom mates. Yes.
Pastor, do you know you've answered $1 million question?
They're in the book, by the way.
Where do you find a good man or a good woman?
Yes.
In wisdom.
In wisdom,
That's where you
yes.
find them. Now, Esther,
Yeah.
let's shoot ourselves in the foot kidogo. It's not only women who are in relationships with toxic men. There are women out here who are driving brothers crazy. And I'm feeling so bad for brothers because good Christian brothers are struggling to find some good Christian women. So just speak on what that looks like from a lady looking in, but then it's the gentleman who's being affected by the toxicity.
Ladies, we have one very good weapon, and that is our mouth. That is our mouth. That is what we actually use to bring these mighty men. Besides sex, our mouth will bring a man down. And we can be so toxic. You see, like for instance, if a man is really trying, he's struggling to feed the home and to do everything. And when he gets home in the evening, there's no appreciation. The only thing he hears is, you good for nothing, ama hatunai, this one is not there, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. What do you expect that man to do? He'll be so low. He's going to be demoralized. And yet, he's been working out there. By the actually, we have good men out there who are really working to make sure that their families are good, they are fed, they are well taken care of. They are struggling to block the strange woman, as the pastor has said.
Yes.
Struggling to block the strange woman with all her enticing, with all her slaying, and with all her things. But when he gets home, is the one he sees as, the woman who should encourage him. You're busy saying, you don't look good. Like, I remember there's a time I said, there are things that you don't say to a man. Like, you don't, there are things like I learned, never discuss sexuality with a man. Whether he's good or not, please, as a lady, avoid that topic. Because you will say something. You think you're joking. These talks that we go talking, oh, he's like this. Or you even tell a man, your husband, I like that guy. And the guy has six-pack. Your husband doesn't have six-pack. What do you think will go through that man's mind? As you're seated there, he's looking at you, and he'll be thinking, she now likes six-pack, and me, I don't have. In a way, you've put something in his mind that is not good, some negativity in him. He might not be able to speak it out, but as time goes by, he'll spill it out, and not in a good way. So some words that we speak really bring these men down. Ours is the tongue. And that's why actually it's the greatest weapon that ladies have. You won't beat a man mangumi and all that. You'll use your tongue to tell him you're good for nothing. See the way you always do things. You're always careless. You're always this. Such words to a man, they'll bring him down. And now men also, because he'll say their children, as much as this woman is so rude to me, she talks to me so badly, I can't live because they're children. So it's not only women who stick in a toxic relationship because of children. Men also stay because they don't want their children to be out there fatherless.
That's true.
Yeah, there are those who will endure the insults of a lady, the demeaning of a lady, the stripping of their ego. And now when you strip a man's ego, you virtually left him naked. Yeah, so I think ours is the tongue that we use so much to bring, to be toxic to the men. And also some things that we do verbally, like I'm serving him and I just throw the plate and I'm facing the other side. What are you showing that person? Like, I'm disgusted. I'm not, you're not my type. That's what your body language is really speaking. And there's something I always ask. Really, you don't have to do some things to a man. Either sit down and talk to him. Instead of throwing the food, don't serve. Just make it. We are good at saying we have headaches. I have a headache. And we pass. There are places we'll pass because of headaches, yeah? So just say you have a headache, I won't serve you. Other than trying to demoralize a brother here who've worked so hard. Yes.
Okay. Pastor.
Yes.
It's the headache comment. What does that look like for a guy? Because I've met, again, there's a brother who's a very good friend of mine. Amesumbuliwa na wasichana. Nani brother mzuri. Lakini the girls are just disturbing her. So when this guy attracts toxic women, is it that, again, it's from the past? Because you become so demoralized and you're a good dude, but you're so demoralized.
We initially talked about how women are drawn in by toxic men. Most of the time it's because of the way the men talk, very skilled, and then also they love issue with attention and gifts.
Yes.
For women on the other side, it's sex and pseudo-loyalty. That's what I call it.
Okay.
Now that I'm older, I am more careful about women who tell me, you can trust me. Yeah.
Okay.
Because women transact, real mature women transact on the realm of secrets. If you give your secrets to the wrong person, sooner than later it will become a scandal. So I ask brothers to be very careful about women who present that. You can trust me with anything. What it is that you're giving them is actually an ammunition. Now, yeah, and also for a woman, it's good for you to come to a place where you're trusted, but it's not easy. Men don't trust a woman very, very easily.
Okay.
But you can just tell the narrative from, that's how it's set. The woman presents good sex or she looks fine, and also she tells you can trust. One of the things in the Bible that you will learn is the issue about the well. A woman was asked for water, and she gave water and watered the camels. She was married off the same day.
Okay.
Few thousand years later, Jesus Christ sits on a well, and he asks water from a woman. And the woman complicates the issue about water, makes it about tribe, makes it about nation, makes it about religion. And when you look at her, she is married to the 6th man.
Yep, that one.
Yeah. Because you can tell a toxic woman by how complicated she is.
Okay.
Yeah. Complexity is one of the signs. And that's why when a serious man wants to get into a relationship with you, he doesn't sound serious.
Okay.
Because life is already tough on him. So he's looking for somebody who can be a playmate. So when he comes in and tells you something jokingly, it's an audition. And what you say about what he has said says more about you as a person.
Okay.
So a man needs to be careful about hanging around women who are very extremely complicated. And you can tell because they're on different pages. I remember when I was single, there's this particular girl that I liked. She was cute. She is a believer, you know. But let me tell you, we're always on the different pages. We can organize to go for a coffee date today. An hour to the date, she cancels.
No reason?
No reason whatsoever.
Okay.
And she will do that repeatedly. Then I realized when we talk, she will take another side just simply because I've taken this position. So
okay.
it's like
I
you're
get
chasing
that.
this person and this person can't be caught,
Yeah.
you know. Then I thought, am I going to deal with Hebrew and Greek and also deal with this issue? I just decided, you know what, I'm going to back off. So what I did, I just pulled myself out of it. The other thing for your friends, they need to be careful about their preferences. I almost said
Let
something.
me tell you, brothers, mimi niko na kesi na brothers, but it's for another day. Yes.
I almost said something that is in the book, but I'm sure Ezekiel Mutua will not enjoy. So let me say something. Let me just try
Pastor
to paraphrase
Danso,
it.
usitoe show yangu hewani, please.
I have a man who I know who his house has been cleared 3 times by wives. He has a preference for women who are wide and obvious. Yes.
Okay.
The more voluptuous the woman is, the easily the man is attracted. So the first wife cleared his house. He went and looked for another one with bigger hips. Cleared it. You know, and you find if the only reason as to why you relate with women is because of your preference, you will get into a place where you are confused. When a good woman is around you, you can't tell the difference between a good woman and a good-looking woman.
Okay.
Because the proof of a wife material is a good woman, not a good-looking woman. You can have both of them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can have both of them, but the problem is, if somebody approaches you, what are they looking for? Because you could be a good woman, but the only thing they see are your looks.
I hear you.
So in that particular process, because of the way they have approached you, even for you, you will feel like this man is, you know, following me because of my assets, not because of me as a person. And there will be a relationship that is very toxic from the onset. The two of you will be very aggressive one to one another.
Okay.
So my advice is for a young man, marry a woman according to your future, not according to your present. I have many things to say, but let me tell you.
Skiza. We need to find a solution because I know
Yes.
you're almost out of time. We need to find a solution.
Yes.
So one of our producers interviewed a couple of Kenyans and
Yes.
asked them, how do you deal with toxic relationships? So we'll see what they had to say. Then we'll come back to Esther and Pastor to give us the solution to that. How do you deal with toxic relationships? For now, just watch and listen to what Kenyans had to say.
Forget it. Yes, forget it. You don't have to suffer for because of a relationship. You break, if it breaks, you pick up and get another one. I mean, you break it and get into another relationship. We are talking about man and wife or family relationship. I think family relationship, you have to work through it. Talk to your people. Ask for guidance from either the church or the mosque. But these other relationships like man and woman should not disturb you.
That depends on a situation basis. First of all, these relationships, first of all, one has to take some level of sacrifice up to a certain level. Common sense should also prevail. And from the experiences that we're having right now, one should be very cautious. If you really find it's not working, you'd rather get away from it than deal with it in the grave.
I don't think living is the right thing to do. But kama ni toxic sana, you can live as well.
I think unafaa kukaa sort your problem. Kama wewe ni wa church, mnaweza enda muonane na pastor awape counseling, na communication is the best way ya kudeal na relationship, because ukicommunicate pamoja na mkae na mkuwe na time kama family. Kama kuna issue mnakuwa na time, kwa sababu hata siku hizi kuna shida kwa sababu wazee hawana na wamama hawana time yani ya kukaa kusolve problem. I think there is kuna uzuri wa kukaa na kusolve problem na kuelewana ndio muendelee na relationship.
Well, anything unhealthy, there has to be a way of, nobody wants to live unhealthy, whether inside or around some unhealthy relationship. And the best thing is to try and understand what is really the cause, to seek some advice and also of the two people to work out. It depends what kind of relationship you're referring to anyway. But to go back to whatever you're asking or referring to, yes, there need to be a lot of care into this. Because as soon as somebody realizes some things are unhealthy, don't take anything for granted. Find a way to resolve that. Find a way to know what is really eating here and seek advice. Sometimes nobody knows everything. Nobody walks into the relationship with a manual. I don't come with a manual to you. You don't come with a manual. And even you come with a manual, you might change anyway, so the manual might be obsolete. And the same thing for anybody else anyway. So I would say, yeah, sometimes it's good to get to the real reason why. Try and find out. And it understand that some of these things are emotional. They're matters of the heart.
Something. Only one person said, stay in the relationship and sort it out. Everybody else said, walk away. And then you looked at them kidogo because you're thinking, I didn't walk away the first time. So we've already addressed why people don't walk away. But at what point do you know it's either my life and my sanity, or as the gentleman said, or you address it in the grave?
By the time you're getting to that point, you are completely not yourself. Let me use my scenario. I had completely lost myself. I was actually not myself. So when you've been subjected to, toxicity is abusive, could be physical, emotionally. So you graduate from physical, you move to emotional abuse, and you're still there. So there's some immunity you're building. You're becoming immune to the toxic that the person is ingesting in you, and you never realize that it is not normal for you to be unhappy.
Okay.
You always think it is normal to be crying throughout. It is normal to be saying sorry throughout. It is normal to be going back every time and begging someone not to leave you. By the time you're realizing that it is not okay, you're either losing something. You're either losing your life or you're losing your children.
Or your mind.
Or your mind.
Sometimes your mind.
And that's why I said you're losing yourself. Because I remember that at some point whereby you're like, I think I don't have anything else to live for. The person I was living for has left. So what do? You contemplate suicide? Or if you've been staying in that relationship because of the children, a child can come and ask you now, who am I supposed to be listening to? Is it you or this? Or even the child starts behaving in a particular way. Then you realize, okay, I've been thinking I'm doing this for them. But I realize it is not even for them, neither is it for myself. And as I was telling the pastor of the show, that sometimes, let me tell you, to come out of a toxic relationship, I was in one for 14 years, it takes God's grace. Because you will never know you are in one until God sensitizes you that things have to change. And it is through God's mercy. Because sometimes I'm saying, it's a sickness. It is like you going to tell a drunkard that, you're sick. He doesn't know that he's sick. He doesn't know. Someone in a toxic relationship, they don't know, because for one, they don't value themselves. That is where actually it's one way of coming out of a toxic relationship is by putting a value on yourself. And I know you know the purpose of one of the mandate of the Graced Woman is to raise women who've been so wounded, who've lost themselves, and come back and realize who they are before God's eyes. What does God say about you? Yes, there's what the person has been saying.
Yes.
There's what your relationships have been saying. But what is God saying about you? And so to come out of a toxic relationship, one thing is you need counseling. And you need God's grace, because some people commit suicide. Actually, not some people.
People
are
do
there.
commit
People
suicide.
are committing suicide because they don't know how to come out of this relationship. I always say, I am a product of grace, because if grace did not show up at the right time, I think now it would be something else, totally different, because I didn't know of anything else. I actually didn't know that this woman would be like this.
Okay.
I knew of a different Esther then, but when he came, he raised me up. He actually, brought out and told me, this is who you are. This is what I see in you. And I said, okay, make me.
Okay.
And after he made me, go back and get others. Yes.
And look at God today. Pastor, there's so many questions.
Yes.
Allow me to get to them. Just let's take the adequate time so that we get to as many as we can. So one is saying, I salute the man of God, Mr. Danson, and my friend Esther. The talk is amazing. The other day I had a talk with a friend who has known to love to be dramatic. And then they write drama, drama, drama. She has always known you have to fight for love, because she grew up fighting for love by her separated parents. So she meets this guy who's bila drama, and because she's never felt love that has the absence of drama, you don't know how to deal with that. So how can you help such a person?
I remember I told you off the show that it's important for you to use intimacy to heal one another.
Okay.
Of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abraham had polygamous relationship. Jacob had polygamous, but Isaac was married to one woman.
Yes.
And the reason as to why he stuck to one woman is because when Rebekah came to the tent, he says that Rebekah healed Isaac of all the pain of the loss of the mother. What I can ask the young lady is to be very honest to the man about the things that she has gone through.
Okay.
And use the primary stages of the relationship to heal from that kind of need, because love ought not to be dramatic.
Pastor, let me ask you.
Yes.
And I said this at the office and everybody looked at me like I'm crazy. If you meet somebody and you know you want to court, can you go for therapy together?
The two
If
of
you know
you.
where this is headed, can you just go to therapy and heal some of these things?
Yes.
It's advisable.
Yeah,
We
it's
can actually do
advisable,
that.
yeah.
Okay, sawa. Let's get to another question. Yes, you're saying, Kagame, you're saying, please ask the pastor to clarify how one becomes wise in terms of getting into a relationship. Wisdom comes from above and it's God-given. We have people failing in toxic relationships who, in the eyes of many, are perceived to be God-fearing. How about if God brings a toxic guy or a person into your life so that you can be a testimony to other people that the Lord changes situations? I don't believe in this case that's the best way. That the best way to sort out a toxic relationship is walk out. Kagame, you trying to be Jesus. Why? Explain. Pastor.
He's justifying something that will not work. As
Okay.
a pastor, most of the time when people come to ask us, do you think this is the right person for me to get married to? Most often than not, first, the reason as to why they're asking is because they have questions.
Okay.
But they're already in too deep. They're not looking for any. Nowadays, I just tell somebody, you know what, you decide. Because after all is said and done, it's the two of you. And I want to say this. Most of the people in church, they pray and say, Father, please, show me whether this person is the right one. All of a sudden, God shows you. There are clear red flags.
Yes.
Then now you are there interceding to pluck off the red flags.
Sometimes I
You-
feel
you
like
see that?
God wonders what to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
and no matter what justifications you have to be in a toxic relationship, you see, we are not perfect, so nobody is perfect.
Yeah.
But if God shows you levels of imperfection in someone, He's telling you don't have what it takes to deal with it. Yeah, that is somebody else's problem. Yeah, because as I've said, no one is perfect. So why
That's
would
true.
God give you red flags? He's just telling you this kind of drama is not your type of drama. That one you should leave it to someone else.
Okay.
Then also you asked the question about therapy, and I want to say this: even before you get to a place of therapy, when you're single, you have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to date yourself. You have to get to a place where you know what is important to you first. Heal yourself first before you come into a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, because once you don't heal yourself, you find those kind of, that kind of talk. I have had it so many times.
Yes.
And I can tell you, after a few years, you know, I see it in church. And somebody just comes and says, Enyewe, Pasi, you are right. But you see now, once you're married, yeah, because the dynamics, you can walk away from a relationship. But in our country, challenging the marriage certificate is harder than, yes.
I found out something about that as well.
Yes.
How hard it is to walk
very,
away.
very difficult to walk away legally. That is why you don't see many people who are divorced, because our country defends the family unit. So my advice is this, and even for him, you see the problem when you are dating someone, you send a vibe that you're already committed. Even if it is the wrong person. So even if the right person comes, they won't be able to tell that you're single. You see that?
Yes.
So when you are hooked up to a toxic person, you are blinded to good people. And good people will approach you, but you are loyal to a mistake. And being loyal to a mistake will not change it.
Pastor.
Yes.
Acha Esther deal na hii, please. Nakuomba. Somebody says, praise God. I have a friend who finished her Form 4 education last year, and there's a lecturer who proposed to her, and he's even forcing her into marriage and wedding. Is it really possible, and should the lady accept it? That's Jalango from Kisumu. Hi. I like my Kisumu people. So what does she do?
She shouldn't.
Okay.
She shouldn't accept, because why are you getting married by force? And you know, some time back there was an issue with the sex for marks in campuses. So why should she trade her value, her integrity as a lady because of a lecturer? And should I know the person? That's not the person she likes. That's probably not her taste. So I think, let me tell you.
Yes, Esther.
When she moves it
serious,
she just need to put her foot down. This is what I want. It's not you I want. And that's it. The lecturer can do whatever he wants to do, because I don't believe in forced marriages. We are past that, and especially when you're talking of someone in the university.
And that's an adult.
Yeah, these are enlightened people. I'm looking at a lady who has principles. She already knows the kind of a man she wants. And really, why would she even give it a second thought?
I hear you.
Why? You know, some things you don't even discuss. Because I've had these young people coming, and already you're seeing the tail signs, as the pastor is saying. And I'm like, okay, if it is like that, what are we praying for? There's nothing for us to pray for. And I'm telling you, people have to wake up even from this praying for partners. Some things are not to be prayed for. We are not looking for prayer points. We are looking for partners. And if you're someone who goes before God and you say you want a partner, the Bible says, who can find a good wife? Where can a good wife be found? It is through prayer, is it?
Yes.
And the good wife is to be found. Not the good wife to go and look for the man.
They will not find you, you will find them.
Yes, you're supposed to be found. But you realize that roles are changing. And because roles are changing, that's why we are trying to fit into the people. That we are by looking at him, I see this is what I want. And you don't understand the person. He talked of when God tries to show you red flags, he does that. Let me tell you, if there's one thing I've come to realize about this God, is how he wants his children. The Bible says, I will instruct you in the way to go, and I will teach you my way. So when God tries to show you that this person is not your type and your kind, you can't go and argue with him. You don't even know yourself. The Bible says, before you were formed into your mother's womb, I knew you. And he had a mate. And one thing I always say, none shall lack a mate. You wait on God, and be at your secret place waiting for the person. Pray.
Yes.
Again, see, you're waiting until you are waiting. Because some we push them away. They've come. And we are sending them away.
Esther, we have to do this again because we are out of time. When a director anasema masaa imeisha. Thank you, Pastor Danson. Lovely to meet you. Fantastic person. Ukuje tena. Esther, thank you for always coming. We really appreciate you. And thank you to you for watching. Mi nimeenda tu ku learn lessons now. There are too many things. I need to watch this again.